United States Weather Briefing, Monday, November 10th, 2025. Good day, pilots and meteorology professionals. Here's your national overview, region by region, pulling the most recent AFDS into a cohesive narrative of today's air mass transitions and flight weather impacts. Southeast coast and South Florida. From South Florida through the Atlantic seaboard, a vigorous cold front has pushed through, and the story is dominated by cold advection, tightening pressure gradients, and rapid air mass change. In the Miami area, the National Weather Service Miami, Florida office noted that the coldest temperatures of the season so far will occur tonight into Tuesday morning following frontal passage, with strong north-northwesterly winds driving hazardous marine and beach conditions. The mechanism, a surface high building offshore and a deep trough over the eastern U.S., have ushered in a northwesterly low-level flow, accelerating mixing and gusts even along the coast. For aviation, expect VFR conditions inland, but strong gusts and cold wind chill concerns at terminals and coastal operations. The maritime influence continues to feed turbulence in the boundary layer and enhanced Kavak variances on terminal approaches. Interior, Southeast, and Gulf Coast. In the Gulf region, the National Weather Service Mobile, Alabama office highlighted several key impacts. Dangerous fire weather due to very dry air plus strong gradient winds, a small craft advisory in marine zones, and critically, the first freeze of the season, Monday night into Tuesday. This reflects the broader synoptic pattern of a deep, long-wave trough dominating the eastern U.S., allowing Arctic/polar air to surge southward across the Gulf states. For aviation and fire weather monitoring, surface mixing has been intense, gusts sustained, and humidity extremely low, all combining to increase wildfire potential and reduce diurnal recovery of overnight moisture, affecting thermal lift, turbulence, and fire smoke dispersion profiles. On the airport ramp, be alert for frost/freeze impacts on surfaces and ground support equipment. Mid-Atlantic and Southern Appalachians. Further north across the Carolinas, the National Weather Service Wilmington, North Carolina office reports that a strong cold front is pushing offshore this morning, followed by cold, dry air with gusty winds and initial freeze warnings for later tonight. The 24-hour temperature drop may reach around 25 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas. In macro terms, the Appalachians are acting as a conduit and barrier. Downslope winds amplify the cold advection and gusts over Piedmont aviation corridors. Gusts to approximately 30 knots may surface, lowering wind shear thresholds for arrival-departure corridors. Expect shallow inversions collapsing early with mixing. Potential for dry upslope flow and enhanced turbulence, especially in the 3K to 6K feet layer, on transition from westerly to northwesterly flow. Georgia/Northern Gulf interior at the National Weather Service Peachtree City. Georgia office, although the update is older, the pattern is consistent with widespread subsidence ahead of the trough. Zonal to weak meridional flow transitioning to stronger west-northwest push. While today is less convective active, the dominant theme is a rapid downward transport of cold air and increasing wind shear aloft. For aircraft routing across Georgia and Tennessee, anticipate enhancements in clear air turbulence as the deepening trough tightens the jet aloft and the boundary layer becomes steeper. Key mechanisms and nationwide summary. On the macro scale, a robust upper-level long-wave trough extending over the eastern United States is dominating the weather. driving polar air seaward and forcing sharp frontal invasions across the south and southeast. Downstream ridging is building over the western U.S., supporting a large meridional gradient. The contrasting air masses, very dry continental polar behind the front, moist maritime ahead, are generating strong pressure gradients and dynamic mixing. In coastal areas, marine plumes and boundary layer shear become critical. Inland, the combination of strong cold advection, terrain influences, and residual moisture deficits sets the stage for freeze, turbulence, and fire weather impacts. Flight weather-wise, anywhere from Florida to the Carolinas, expect a strong shift to north-northwest winds, gusts ramping midday into afternoon, increased wind shear potential near frontal zones and in the post-frontal cold air mass. For surface operations, freeze potential is strong tonight across interior zones. For en route segments, turbulence in low levels near coastlines, elevated shear across Piedmont and Appalachians, and reduced thermal activity inland due to dry air. What to watch? Now! Monitor surface wind gusts and boundary layer mixing rates in all affected zones, both for takeoff, landing, and low-level en route. Freeze/frost risk tonight. Ramp operations in the south should secure for possible sub-freezing temps early Tuesday. Marine/mountain interactions. In coastal southeast and Gulf zones, the combination of wind, seas, and dry air create shear and gust regimes that may affect IFR/VFR transitions over water and near-shore approaches. Fire weather transitions, especially in the Gulf interior. Expect smoke dispersion issues, but also the potential for bushfire initiation that may impact low-level VFR corridors via smoke plumes. Aircraft routing across the southern U.S. should anticipate colder, drier air behind the front. That means reduced icing risk in clouds, but potentially enhanced wind shear, gusts, and turbulence. In summary, today's United States air weather scenario is defined by a strong cold surge from the north, abrupt frontal passage along the eastern seaboard and Gulf states, and subsequent cold, dry, gusty conditions dominating the southeast quadrant of the country. From ramp to en route phase and all altitudes in between, the aviation meteorology community should be keenly aware of wind shear, low-level turbulence, freezing concerns, and the transition to a more stable but harsher air mass overnight. That covers today's script. Stay sharp, stay safe, and monitor updates as the cold air deepens tonight across the region.